We begin with the opening recitations. Dolo dongwa jebe da no par jebe ge darba dan tam je gembe bardu chopra jeba tam je ge se jebe ma nanga dan nyambe sen chen tam je dewa dan den du nga dan de ne du la na me ba yang na para so pe chang ju re po je tom para ja da la dongwa jebe da Jebege Tarbadan Tamje Gembe Bardu Jobra Jebadam Jegez Jemo Senjen Tamje Dewadan Dan de Lana Mebaya Tambra Sobe Janjurim Jen Dobra Jan Dala Dangwa Jebenda no bara jebenge tarbadan tamje kembe baradu jobra jeba tam jegiz jebe ma kada nyambe senjen tamje devada dangje nudu lana me paya dabra zobe janju rimbo je dobra je je de sama gege bardu lung yesum ge wala gu she bardu lunga yesum ge wala gu sunde nema sanda samge bardu lunga yesum ge wala. Then taking refuge, page 5. Sangye jodan soge jonam la changju bardu dane gyamsu je dage jinsu gebe sonam ge jala penche sangye drupra shu sangye jodan soge jonam la changju bardu dane gyamsu je dage jinsu gebe sonam ge jala penche sangye drupra shu sangye jodan soge jonam la Chanchu bardu dane gyabsu je nage jinsu gebe sunange drola penche sange drupra shu kardang nyampe senchen damche dewa dang dewe gyundan tempura gyurji dunga dang dunga ki gyudan druva gyurji dunga mepe dewa dame dewa gyurji nirin chadang nidang druve dang la para gyurji Kadang nyampe senchen tamche dewa dang dewe gyundan Dambra gyuji dunga dang dunga ki gyudan dambra gyuji dunga mepe dewa dang me dewa gyuji nirin chadang nidang dewe dang nyong la dambra gyuji Kadang nyampe senchen tamche dewa dang dewe gyundan dambra gyuji dunga dang dunga ki gyudan dewa gyuji Dunga mebe dewa dame dewa gyurji nerin chadang nidang dewa danyang la nebra gyurji Bajra samaja bajra samaja bajra samaja Semjen kungi gungyur jen du de punche medze jomze la wana malu jishin kengyur be jomden koche ne dir she su so gyam padyam pushbe dupe aloke gende neve de shabda prade jaso ha sashi poju jushin me to dram Lira lenshi nide gempa de sanje shingla mingte polwa ye drogo namda shingdu chopara sho jaze wadam chujin shampadam jesu yiram kusing sowa ye gewa chungse dagi chisangpa tamche zobe changchu chungu Then the general laying aside. Alas, great Guru Vajra holder, and all you Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who reside in the 10 directions and 3 times, I, who am called Kunju Yishi Durji, supplicate you turn your awakened attention to me from beginningless samsaric time until this very moment, under the power of the afflictive emotions, attachment, aggression, confusion, pride, and jealousy. I have committed the 10 non-virtuous actions through the gates of my body, speech, and mind. I have committed the 5 heinous crimes and the 5 secondary heinous crimes. I have transgressed the individual liberation vows, transgressed the precepts of bodhisattvas, and transgressed the samayas of the great vehicle secret mantra. I have been faithless and disrespectful towards the 3 jewels. I have been faithless and disrespectful towards my gurus and teachers. I have been faithless and disrespectful towards my father and mother. I have been faithless and disrespectful towards my companions in the pure spiritual life. I have abandoned the sublime Dharma and disparaged the noble Sangha. In short, I now lay aside all faults and transgressions whatsoever that have become obstacles to the higher realms and to liberation, and that have become the cause for samsara and the lower realms. Before you, the great Guru Vajra holder, and all you Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions and 3 times, I expose the faults, I confess them, I am contrite. I regret them, I will not conceal them, I will not hide them. Henceforth, I will restrain myself and abstain from them. If I do not expose and lay them aside, they will not be transformed. Therefore, my revealing and laying them aside, may they be clear, may I be purified. Now, to the mandala of you, victorious Idam deities. I expose and confess the broken samayas of the Vajra exalted body. I expose and confess the broken samayas of the Padma exalted speech. I expose and confess the broken samayas of the perfect exalted mind. I expose and lay aside the broken root and branch samayas. I expose and lay aside transgressions committed knowingly. I expose and lay aside transgressions committed unknowingly. The 3 non-virtues of the body, the 4 non-virtues of speech, the 3 non-virtues of the mind. I confess each of the 10 non-virtues individually with flawless disciplined conduct, possessing completely pure disciplined conduct, and through the disciplined conduct that is free of arrogance, may the paramita of disciplined conduct be perfected. To glorious Vajrasattva, I pay homage. Bhadra Sadhu Samaya Sarvasiddhime Bhaja Bhadra Sadhu Samaya Manapani Bhadra Sadhu Samaya Bhadra Sadhu Samaya Bhadra Sadhu Samaya Manapani Bhadra Bhadra Sadhu Samaya Manapani Bhadra Bajrama Munja Bajraba Mahasamaya Om Bajra Zada Samaya. So was it a member in Jazavagama? They don't remember was to Doga, remember Zuboga. Was it a member of Jazavagama? Jamin, oh, Sabato. Om Bazara Sato Samayamano Balayam Bazo, the nobody that they remember Zuboga. Bazara Zabazo. Bazara Sato Samayamano Balayam Bazo, the nobody that they remember Zuboga. Another than was in Om Bazara Sato Samayama Nubalaya Bazo, the nobody that the was the women's boy. So was it the members of Makamazo to make them Sudoka was a boy. The member was Sudoka, was so Boga, member, and the other member was in the moment of oh, Bazara Mamunja Bazari Boma, Samaya do Om Bazara Sato Samayam, nobody. The member was Sudoka. Sarabasa de Mabanja Samakamas of Japan. Oh, Andoradam, so nobody that they don't remember, Sudoka was a problem. So was the images of Japan. Ah, Umbazara Sado Samayam and Nobalayam, but the other Mahasamaya Sado. So now to near Nipa's Mahamudra manual. Let's go to page 45. And this is the beginning of the fourth section, the natural state Mahamudra. So often it is said that this fivefold Mahamudra, the five elements, they are comparable to the whole lion. The head and the body is this fourth one. Then this lion To be a properly functioning lion, need to have four legs. And the four legs is bodhicitta, idam, guru, and dedication. So it says like, if we just want to practice this fourth section and say, oh, I just want the natural state, Mahamudra practice, which today actually, whenever you see on the internet, when they advertise, oh, we will now do a program on Mahamudra, often it's this fourth one, different aspects of this fourth one that is taught right, by different traditions and teachers. Often it also is like basically, if it is like a weekend program or a 3-day program or a 4-day program, then it's basically a teacher giving commentary on some Mahamudra text, short or long Mahamudra text, such as, most common these days, you can see is giving commentary, giving teachings, explaining a couple of texts that is in the composed by the past karmapas. And the third karmapa, for example, Ranjung Dorje, there is one very famous Mahamudra aspiration. So maybe some teacher will teach that, and then give some kind of brief Mahamudra practice instruction. But mostly these programs will kind of talk about that. Or perhaps if a more difficult text, but also now you can see being taught and being offered is Tilopa's Ganga Mahamudra that Tilopa gave to Naropa, called Mahamudra Upadesha. And so that also another very popular text, And then, as I also mentioned, but obviously, in the various Dapokagyo lineages, they all have their own detailed Mahamudra manuals that they use. One of the most famous ones is the ninth Karmapa's Ocean of Definitive Meaning. That is actually very detailed. It's almost like a manual for teachers. And over maybe 70 exercises, so to say. Very detailed. I've asked people in the Gamakagyu, some of the main translators of these Gamakagyu texts who have done themselves, 3-year retreat, 6-year retreat. I've asked them, I said, is there a formal training in the way that we have in the form of Fivefold? This, in particular, this is someone who is translating the 4 volumes of the Marpakagyu materials in the Tamgasu. Is there any formal in modern times, in her own experience, she's done maybe 2-3 retreats in the early days, and now she's quite senior, doing translations. And various other people. Then more recently, I have a friend who have also done 2-3-year retreats in the Gamakagyu, as well as Shangpakagyu. And mostly they say that like the ninth Karmapa's voluminous manual is not used in any formal way. So they point to how, different teachers, such as, famously now, Mingyo Rinpoche has kind of designed programs whereby various aspects clearly of the ninth Karmapas Mahamudra manual is, various parts are taken and kind of put into a curriculum that it's more accessible, more user-friendly for people joining Mingyur Rinpoche's Mahamudra programs. And as I said, most of them are this natural state Mahamudra, of course, with the preliminaries. So another very popular, commonly referred to texts, not just by Gamakagyu, but all Dapokagyupas, a very influential figure in Dapokagyu, the Gampopa's Kagyu family, is Dapo Tashin Namgyal. And his name is Dapo Tashin Namgyal, meaning he was mostly at Gampopa's monastery. So he was called Dapo, Dapo Monastery. So Dapo Tashin Namgyal, Tashi Namgyal of Dapo Monastery. So Dapo Tashin Namgyal has three major texts: the sunbeam, the moonbeam, and the jewel beam. The moonbeam is sun, moon, and jewels. The light of the sun, the light of the moon, the light of jewels. So the light of the moon has been translated twice now. And the second time it's been translated. First one translated way back in the 70s, I think. Moonbeams of Mahamudra. Then an updated translation done by the same woman, who I say is now doing the 4 volumes of Marpa's Kagyu material in the Tapkazu. Did a second translation, and that one also it's in the style of the natural state Mahamudra. Again, there you see from there they will emphasize the common preliminaries and then the uncommon preliminaries, which is refuge, Vajrasattva, Mandala, Guru Yoga. And then it goes into the way Dapotashi Namgyal divides it. It goes into like common shamatha and common vipassana. So the common way of practicing calm abiding, the common way of practicing special insight. And then after that, according to his system, after training and stabilizing your mind through that, then you go into what he calls the uncommon calm abiding and uncommon special insight, which is the Mahamudra proper. So there are, and most of it, I would say, when they say Mahamudra, they more often than not, they are talking about only this fourth part, the part that we are now starting to look into. So it's only, I would say, in Drigung Kagyu, and Drigung Kagyu, of course, Gyalpa Rinpoche received this from Pamodrupa. Pamodrupa also gave this fivefold system to some of his disciples, other than Jigden Sungen. Pamodrupa had some very influential disciples. And they have also some fivefold Mahamudra texts. And so it's not. So even within the Kagyu family, everyone agrees, like, no, this is not something made up by Jigten Sumgön. It's just that Jigten Sumgön, among Pamudrupa's disciples, was the one that really kind of connected with this way of approaching Mahamudra and therefore used it as his primary way of instructing his students in how to practice Mahamudra. So Kyopa and Kyopa's successors have always emphasized the practice of Mahamudra as fully kind of embedded within the broader world of the practice of the union of sutra and secret mantra, Paramitayana and secret mantra, integrated together with Mahamudra in the driver's seat, you could say, with Mahamudra as the driver's seat, and then with Paramitayana and Mantrayana, these two being brought together. So, if we look now on page 45, next is the completion stage. So, Nirnipa, the author of this manual, said basically, so even you can see here, Nirnipa, the way he divides the fivefold, basically he puts it into the secret mantra tradition of dividing practice into creation stage and completion stage. And so then he says, first you have the preliminary, the common preliminary. The uncommon preliminary is bodhicitta, right? He tells us that. That's the uncommon, the special preliminary. Is bodhicitta. And so that's the first of the fivefold. And he says, next you should practice creation stage. And he says, in our context of the Fivefold Mahamudra, creation stage consists of not only idam, but also cultivating devotion to the Guru. Those two fall under creation stage. So here then, now he says, the next is completion stage. So the fourth part of the Fivefold, the natural state Mahamudra, he calls this completion stage. So as the Dharma Lord, our precious Guru said, so this is referring to Kyopa, again quoting from Kyopa's very famous Fivefold Mahamudra song, if within the sky-like expanse of mind as such, mind itself, the accumulated clouds of conceptualizations, of conceptualities have not dispersed, the planets and stars of twofold knowledge will not shine. Attend earnestly, therefore, to this non-conceptual mind. So if you recall, this Fivefold Mahamudra song, for each verse, Kyoba Rinpoche uses a particular metaphor, a particular simile. The first one is the horse race, right? If the horse, if your super duper horse does not race, does not engage in this competition for the benefit of all, then this is not going to work. It says the gods and the humans will not congratulate you, will not cheer you. Then for idam, he uses the metaphor of the king assuming his place in the court. The king holds court, as we say in English. So when the king holds court, then all the ministers, then the king's queens and consorts and concubines, and princesses and princes, and they all fall into their right place. So that's the metaphor of the mandala. So if the king of deities, your own form, doesn't turn up, then he says the mother dakinis will not come to bless. And here, mother dakinis is the embodiments of wisdom. Then the third one is snow mountain. It says, and if the sun of devotion, the sun of devotion doesn't shine on the snow mountain of the guru of the four kayas, then the flow of blessings will not descend. This one, it's the sky, the clouds, and the light-giving planets, the sun and the stars and the moon. That's the metaphor. That's the simile here. So we should pay attention to how he is using this. So you have the sky. So within the sky-like expanse of mind itself. So mind itself. So here, mind itself. Semni, mind itself, or mind nature, or mind as such. Semni, the ni is like ness. So literally it will be mindness. Mindness. So here is emphasizing mind itself, mindness, rather than activities of the mind. And so this mind itself, this mind nature, is analogized with the expanse of the sky. The expanse of the sky. Now, we all know when you look up into the sky, clouds gather. So what are these clouds in this simile here, in this metaphor here? They are the clouds of conceptualities. And so these are the activities of the mind, activities of the heart. The activities of the heart, the activities of the mind. And so here it says, then, if they do not disperse, if the clouds do not disperse, the clouds do not clear, then what is the problem? What is the issue, so to say? The problem is the planets and the stars will not shine. Now, of course, not literally, right? Gilbert Rinpoche this is poetic. So not that literally they're not shining, but from where you and I are standing, we cannot see them. So in that sense, they're not shining. Yeah. Gilbert Rinpoche will actually say, actually, they're always shining. But poetically here, it says they will not shine. Meaning, us standing where we stand. So like on a, some of us have this experience. We live in far north enough, far south enough. We have winter, especially. Even if you don't have that, there are days, where even if you live on the equator, where it's just rainy, but maybe not even rain, just cloudy, After 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, you start to feel like, even though intellectually, the sun is there, it's not disappeared. But we cannot benefit from. And also, some of us have experienced how, like on a cloudy day, maybe even for days it's been cloudy, And now you take a trip, you fly, and in your plane fly, then the plane goes above the clouds, and then you see the sun, you're like, oh, almost like you're surprised, it's actually there. When you go above the clouds. So here is saying, in a way, this is saying that you could ask, or you could make the point. Well, whether the clouds clear or don't clear, clearly the planets and the stars are there. So clearly the twofold knowledge, this is knowledge, twofold knowledge here is referring to knowledge is not just, the way we think of knowledge. Okay? Here, knowledge is talking about Buddha knowledge. Buddha has two types of knowledge. So Kian is the knowledge of the emptiness of the self as it pertains to the individual, and the emptiness of self as it pertains to phenomena, the basic building blocks of experience. Even that lacks inherent existence. And in dispelling that confusion, then all-knowingness is achieved. In dispelling the mistaken, the ignorance with regards to the self of persons, the individual, you become free from the grips of samsara. And so these are the twofold knowledge. And so then you can say, like, well, whether the clouds are cleared or not, the sun, the moon, the stars, it's there. The twofold knowledge is there. Yeah, correct. Correct. But question now is, do you have access? Do you need access? On the relative level, yes. And so therefore what? Last line. Attend earnestly, therefore, to this non-conceptual mind. So this instruction is a little interesting here for me. He's not necessarily, although he is, but his main point to me is not necessarily saying, therefore, keep clearing the clouds. Yeah, he's not exactly saying that. Is there a time? Is there a period of time? Is there a part of our training where we clear these clouds of conceptualizations, of conceptualities? Yes, we do train in that. Right? We do train in that. But that is not the final solution. He's not saying that is the solution. Because later we're going to learn even these clouds, these conceptualizations, they are part of the non-conceptual mind. They are a way in which the non-conceptual mind appears. So instead, he says, attend therefore to the non-conceptual mind, meaning learn more. Get more. First, learn. Not necessarily through books, but learn from your experience, learn from the guidance of a guru capable to show you, to lead you to how to understand more and more about this mind that is without conceptuality. Because when you really understand this, you will also understand what are conceptualities, what are conceptualizations, what are the clouds. So if we tease out this simile, this metaphor, it's that the more you attend skillfully, the more you develop understanding, the more of a taste you have of this non-conceptual mind, the less you are going to be bothered by the clouds. But right now, part of the learning of this non-conceptual mind, part of becoming more acquainted with the non-conceptual mind, does involve temporarily clearing the clouds of conceptualities as a midpoint strategy, you could say, or early point strategy. If we use the metaphor I used yesterday, it's like driving. First, go drive in an abandoned uh, parking lot where there are no other cars. But the purpose of learning how to drive is not so that you only drive around in an empty parking lot and no one else is on the road. The goal is to eventually drive safely, effectively, and not only taking yourself but taking others uh, to safety, to wherever we need to go. So, as a beginning position, you do need to temporarily clear the clouds of conceptualities. But for the purpose of learning more and more about this mindness, mind nature, mind as such, mind itself, which is non conceptual. Real hand or phantom hand? Real hand. Okay, please go ahead.
I fixed it. Is it more about the way we perceive the activities, but maybe broader than that, bigger than that?
Say more.
Um, if we have a conception attachment, for instance, um, and without any knowledge, all we do is long for whatever it is we're attached to and try what we can try to get it. There are lots of activities around that to pull that in. And with better understanding, is it that we recognize that the attachment is there? We may or may not still want it, but we don't run around doing whatever we can to get that. Is it? But it's more than that. It's got to be more than that, I think.
So we will find out.
All right, deal.
In other words, does it go beyond, pop spirituality? I hope so. Although On the other hand, right, Kyoba Rinpoche said, I have not heard a more profound pith instruction than what my mother said to the neighbor woman who lost her husband. Maybe it's just that, but it's also more, right? It's also more. Right now, it's enough, I think, to understand what I said, about these 4 lines. Yeah. And some of the basic uh, points, which will be elaborated uh, in this next section, but in the form of try to experience it. No need to try to put into words, actually. Try to get beyond our addiction, really. Like, if I can formulate the right words, then I got it. But here it's saying, no, it's something kind of deeper than that. And it says like it's like a mute tasting the sweetest strawberry. There's no way for you to say. Yeah, so here, this has 2 parts. So this section, there are 2 parts. Meditative equipoise and post-meditative equipoise. So these are the two time frame that we train for this natural state Mahamudra. So looking first at, on cushion, so to say, that's the meditative equipoise part. That means training with the mind settle, even equipoise. And here it says there are 2 parts to this as well. First, you have to cultivate samadhi. And then you will be introduced to the meaning. So first, so what is samadhi? What is samadhi? So tingezin in Tibetan, samadhi. So the first he says, is tingezin gompa. So for this tingezin, samadhi, just because you have the word samadhi here, here, doesn't mean it's used exactly in the same way. So we have to be discerning about this. Just because you see the word samadhi, doesn't mean that it's talking about the same thing as what we're talking about here. So here I would say samadhi is best translated, I would say, as stability of the heart, of the mind, heart. It becomes more and more stable. So to cultivate samadhi is to cultivate steadiness. Steadiness of heart, steadiness of mind. So it's not just steady. Often, samadhi and also samadhi is often translated as concentration. Right? And this word samadhi is one of the words, one of the elements of the Eightfold Path. The last of the Eightfold Path is samnya samadhi, so often translated as right concentration. So in the system of the Noble Eightfold Path, there is starting with right understanding or right view, then right thoughts. Informed by the view, you begin to think. You begin to think. You begin to kind of understand. So from understanding, starting with right understanding, then right thoughts, right attitude are being formed, then right speech, then right action, then right livelihood, meaning, involving ourselves in, this is basically talking about how you maintain your life. Of course, the most obvious aspects of right livelihood is, don't earn your money by uh, taking the lives of others. Don't earn your money by stealing from others. Don't earn your money by deceiving others. Those are the clear no for right livelihood. Don't sell weapons. Don't sell poison. Those are the clear no. But beyond that, right livelihood, it's also a more subtle right livelihood is also pertaining. If you want to be a Dharma practitioner, you know, how how busy do you want to be? If the work is very demanding and you don't know yet how to practice while working, then there is a problem that needs to be solved. So right livelihood. Then right effort. Then right mindfulness. Then right concentration. These are the Noble Eightfold Paths. So interestingly, samadhi is at the end. So there is a certain progression. So in the way that samadhi is used in the Noble Eightfold Path, it's the culmination of all these all these moving in the right direction leads us to. So therefore, concentration is not the right word to translate samadhi when samadhi is a member of the Eightfold Path. Because at least the way we normally use concentration is as kids, and I think we carry that baggage, parents are like, focus, concentrate your mind, concentrate, you know. Why aren't you concentrating? Why aren't you focusing? So our range of meanings that we associate with concentration has more to do with the mind not behaving like a monkey. So then we think samadhi means. And in fact, there are people who practice samadhi as this. Like you are now in the meditation boot camp. You have joined the meditation Marines. Samadhi. Like this laser focus, laser-like focus. This is not the Noble Eightfold Path's samadhi. This is also not the samadhi we are talking about. in our manual here. Not, not the right meaning of samadhi. So as I said, samadhi here is much better understood as steadying the heart. So in steadying the heart, it may involve you training your focus. Now we're talking about focus. Training your focus, training your concentration in a particular way, giving more discipline to your focus, to your concentration. Yes, it does involve some degree of that. But samadhi is not reached by tying your attention, your focus, your concentration in a tight way. When samadhi actually builds, when samadhi actually develops, it's more, you could say, it's an attitude that is starting to form. Not a condition that you're trying to control, but an attitude to things, an attitude to situations, an attitude to distractions that is beginning to become more and more steady. So the heart doesn't move so easily. So in Chinese tradition, there is one quotation. It says, 境转心不转. Jing is conditions, the conditions that you find yourself in, the surrounding, the environment, all that is jing. We say 环境, like situation. So the situation we find ourselves in, the conditions that we find ourselves in, the things that life throws at you, as we would say in English, all those are always changing, shifting, changing, shifting, changing, shifting, changing, shifting. One day everything is just aligned right. The next day everything goes haywire. Ups and downs and ups and downs. All that is conditions. All those situations. They will 转, they will change, they will turn. But 心不转, mind doesn't move, doesn't change. Doesn't move, doesn't change. That is the power of samadhi. Yeah, that is the power of samadhi. Not in that, very limited sense of concentration. So first, here we have to train in steadying the heart. So if we're really practicing Mahamudra, at this point, you are not, how do I say, you are not so like, oh, I wish this, I hope that, I pray for this, oh, please dispel obstacles, this, that, the usual things that people do when they do Dharma practice, especially in the Vajrayana, chant this mantra, solve this problem, chant that mantra, solve that problem. when you come to this point, it's like the only mantra. Mantra means that which protects the mind. The only true mantra is the mantra of understanding. Understanding will set us free. The ultimate understanding comes from this introducing the meaning, the second part. Here it says, right? Meditative equipoise. Yeah. The trainings that we need to do under this category called meditative equipoise, which is one part of the two parts. The other one is post, meaning when you get off the cushion, how do you continue to train? And that's what I'm saying, like, because we don't know how to train while we're at work. So then we say work and Dharma are in conflict. And don't be over confident, I can practice Dharma anywhere. Yeah, sure. But fundamentally, there's no conflict. Yes, fundamentally, there's no conflict. But realistically, so then you see, especially the early Kagyupa masters, they say, yeah, fundamentally, there is no conflict. But then Milarepa says, but I'm not going down to the mountain, going down to the towns. I'm not going down to the village. Right? Because his disciples said, Lama, you are a Buddha. It should not matter to you, whether you're up in the mountains talking to deer and marmots or in the village. Why don't you go to the village? So mostly these are disciples like Rei Zhongba, he likes towns, he likes villages, but he's also devoted to his Lama. And so he tried to manipulate, his father teacher, his spiritual father, and say, why don't we go hang out more in the village? You can benefit more beings there, no? Milarepa said, for the sake of beings, I'm not going down there. Because, he says, majority of them should not be down there. They should be up here. If I go down there so much, then they think, oh, see, it's true. We can practice Dharma anywhere. That's false confidence that you're giving them, Milarepa says. So I need to be up here to remind them, even it's uncomfortable for them to be reminded. You are not getting anywhere as long as you are getting all tied up down there. You have to head to the mountains. Yeah, but also, right, you need to have merit to go to the mountains. Yeah. So all of you should be simultaneously inspired to, I will go to the mountains. I will go to the mountains. Then also, but meanwhile, I have to pay bills. Yeah. Don't make it into, only one is true and the other is not true, And both are also true. Pay bills, accumulate merit. So make sure when you're paying bills, you are not accumulating demerit. You need to pay your bills by the way of accumulating merit. And your merits you should dedicate to not paying bigger bills. So that's where it gets tricky. Like, bigger bills. Once we have this bill, you're like, oh, I could upgrade. They call it upgrade, but it's getting more sucked in, right? every few weeks, they'll send you a message. Would you like to upgrade your phone? Only for $3 more. What they don't tell you is for 48 months. So, even if in essence it doesn't conflict, because after all, what is the point of Dharma practice? It's more for when we get off the cushion. Yeah? When we get off the cushion. Not when we are glued onto the cushion. But without realistic work done on the cushion, the meditative equipoise part, then even if you are introduced to the meaning, it's intellectual. It's a bunch of nice words. Then when suffering actually comes, it has no bite. It's a toothless lion. When loss comes, we are at a complete loss. Loss comes to us in many different forms. Okay? Now, for cultivating samadhi, there are two parts: with characteristics, with signs, and without signs. So first, the before the specific training, first a quotation from Nagarjuna to further help us understand kind of like the framework that we're working with. So you could say theory. These theory are using words to kind of nudge us, using words to kind of help us get to seeing the moon. So these are fingers pointing to the moon. But don't think, oh, I know these words. I know what they're saying. Oh, yes, I got it. You have to use the method. You have to apply the method. So top of page 47, quoting Nagarjuna. Your own mind is innately birthless. And so all these words here, right? Some of it you may know, oh, I think it means this. And some of it you may not know. But don't fixate. Let them be these words, right? Let them be kind of like a little, you could say, just enough to make you ponder, as we would say. Not think hard, like, oh, what does this mean? What does this mean? No, enough to kind of, that's good. Don't try to Google your way into understanding what Nagarjuna is saying. More. Okay, let these words kind of swim around. And then as you apply the method, which is the second part of page 47, very simple, but very effective. But first, your own mind is innately, that means naturally, it is without arising, without birth. Is it there? It's there. Did it start in a certain way? According to Nagarjuna? No. It's naturally present. Although it is naturally present, innately birthless, its very nature is emptiness. And here you can understand this as it is not something that you can hang your coat on, as we say. It's not something that you can hang your hat on. It is not something that you can hang your expectations, your desires, your hopes and fears on. Because its nature is emptiness, meaning its nature is not graspable. It's not fixed. We want it to be fixed. We want it to be fixed. We want it to be specific. Even if we don't use those words and say, I want my mind to be fixed. But basically, we want certainty, right? So when life becomes uncertain, we're very uneasy, you know? But here it's saying actually the very nature of mind is emptiness. And what it's saying there is, in fact, the very thing that we fear, it's actually mm, wrongly fearing what is the way it is. Right now, we experience this emptiness as uncertainty and therefore destabilizing and therefore threatening. So we do everything to try to, you know, glue everything down, including practicing dharma to glue it down. I have this deity to glue that down. I have that mantra to glue that down. I have this visualization to glue that down. The yogi who cultivates this nature for a practitioner and for a Neojorpa. Neojur is the Tibetan translation for yogi. And sometimes this word is used as like oh, he's a yogi practitioner, meaning he wants to have his cake and eat it too. These people who dress up, in exotic looking robes, when they go to Dharma things. And then they think, oh, I'm a yogi. Meaning, they continue to maintain their samsara, busy maintaining samsara, but then on special days, looking good, coming with special earrings, special robes, special ritual implements, looking the part, I'm a yogi. And so then it's become a code word for like, I'm not a monk, I'm not a nun, I'm a yogi. But the real meaning of yogi, it's like a cultivator, someone who really cultivates their heart. Then the Tibetan Neo Jor. Jor is like you could say it's the etymology given. The creative etymology given for Neo Jor is Nel is like something like, I think you could say, like the reality state, the natural state. Jor is like enjoying. So one who enjoys the natural state rather than the contrived. What does it mean, contrive? Anything that is, uh, mm, anything that is related to the three poisons, that's contrived. What does it mean to be uncontrived? Uh, Means any actions of body, speech, and mind not influenced by even a speck of the three poisons. That is the uncontrived. That is the natural. So uncontrived doesn't mean, just do whatever you want. It's fine. So for a yogi, for one who courses in, who enjoys in the natural. mm, uh, So who is this? This is the one who cultivates this nature, this nature of this nature that is birthless and empty. Then here Nagarjuna is addressing some of the usual external signs of a meditator. So he says, uh, actually, for one uh, who really knows exactly when we say, "Oh, I'm a meditator, I'm a yogi, I'm a practitioner," what exactly are we practicing? We are practicing, we are cultivating, we are taking into experience this innately birthless mind and its emptiness. And when we do that, he says, neither exhaling nor inhaling breath. He's not saying they stop breathing, okay? He's saying he's saying this because so much of otherwise our practice we say, oh, mindful in, mindful out. Yes, yes, of course, but he's making a point here. He's saying yes, he has nothing against mindfulness of breath, which is what this is, right? Exhaling, inhaling. He's nothing against mindfulness of breath, but he's saying, if you really know what you're doing, when you're training with, say, mindfulness of breath, what are you training? You are training to cultivate this innately birthless nature of mind, the emptiness nature of mind. Nor opening or closing the eyes. So lots of debates. Oh, when you meditate, you should close your eyes. No, 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 you should open your eyes. No, 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 you should close your eyes. He's saying it has nothing to do with that. You can close if you want to close. You can open if you want to open. Know that whether close or open, what is the purpose? To cultivate this innate mindness. Does not bend backward, huh? Or does not fall backward or stoop forward. So this is about body posture. Yes, lots of instructions on the importance of body posture. But technique is secondary. Purpose needs to be clear. It's not speaking or nor is not speaking. Nor not speaking. It's not speaking, also not speaking. Because, there are again instructions on, oh, when you're accumulating mantras, until you finish 100,000 mantras, you should not make any sound that is not mantra. And he's saying, yes, yes, there are trainings like that. But again, those are techniques. Don't not forget purpose. Does not engage with external objects, and also does not complicate the mind, does not conceptualize the mind. It says that needs to be your kind of attitude as you begin this training of samadhi with science. Mm-hmm. This is how, kind of like the uh, broader understanding that you need to have. Question?
I'll have another question.
No? Yes?
If this is saying we may do these things, obviously we're breathing, we may
No,
kind of,
it's not talking about just breathing. It's talking about using breath as a
right, as the
control.
focus.
Yes.
So we will do that. Obviously we'll breathe, but kind of have it kind of out of focus with
What?
just not, we're not we're not single pointedly focusing on breathing. It's there.
No,
And
no, no. It's not talking about that.
well, I know it's not talking about that, but it's
Therefore,
talking about, or is it talking about kind of halfway seeing that we're breathing?
no, it's not talking about that. That's just training in fuzzy mind.
Oh, okay.
Someone want to help? No, this is not. This whole section is not about just keep it fuzzy.
I don't mean, you're kind of aware perhaps.
No, no. Any kind of an aware is already fuzzy.
Okay. Kind of need to go further.
This is not about technique, Judy. You're confusing technique and attitude.
I'm trying to say it, but I don't know how to say it.
Don't.
Okay, just keep quiet.
Yeah, relying too much on words. But everybody understand that why Nirnipa gives this quote from Nagarjuna is to give you an attitude. So I don't want to use the word theory, but these words are to give you, to help you form an attitude towards how you're going to use the specific trainings. It's not about, oh, kind of aware you're breathing, but don't focus so much. No, that's about technique. Technique comes later. This is an attitude. All these sections, it's not about inhale or exhale. It's not about open or close. It's not about, whether lean a little bit forward or lean a little bit backward. It's not about can or cannot talk. It's not about following outside or, looking inside. It's not about any of that, is what he's saying. Then what is it about? It's about one's own mind is innately birthless, the very nature of emptiness. A yogi is to cultivate this and not what normally people think. It's about, inhale, exhale, close eyes, open eyes. Get it? Yeah, you're confusing technique and what he's critiquing here. Tomorrow, we will look at the first set of training, the first training. Then, for a while, nothing much to do in terms of when we meet. It's doing the training. So that you get a taste of what the experience is. Page 78. By the virtues collected in the 3 times by me in the entirety of samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtues, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi. Chanchu Sem Chorimpoche Ma Ge Ba Non Ge Gu Che Ge Ba Nyam Ba Me Ba Yang Gong Ne Gong Du Bel War Shulu. Okay, this is, we're getting into the stuff that all of you have been curious about.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Yeah. Ta-ta.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Lai.
Yeah.